You're making quite the racket, you stupid pieces of trash. Welcome back. Get out of my sight. That voice was a short distance away. Oh, that's right, we were getting picked on by the thugs, the delinquents. Still holding me by the collar, the three thugs spun around to look behind them. Uh-oh. Oh, I can't say that out loud, or, yes. You say? Standing there was Shion. Oh no, she mad. She angry. I mean, Mion. She stood there displaying an imposing stature that I'd never seen before. She didn't have the same look on her face as she did as when we were playing around during club. Those were the eyes that would instill fear in anyone who looked upon them. The eyes of a raptor. They were the epitome of terror. At the same time, they were the most reassuring things in the world. I'll only say this one more time. Let go of Kei-chan and get lost. Mion, without an ounce of fear, laid down her ultimatum. Of course, there was no way those three wouldn't go absolutely berserk. The situation instantly turned explosively dangerous. Ya fucking beach! Indeed. I'll fucking bash your head in. Stop it, Mion. These guys are like rabid dogs. No amount of bluffing will work. Mion, it's dangerous. I knew what I was saying was pathetic, but I couldn't let Mion get involved in this. No matter how you looked at it, Mion was only bluffing. But did Mion even know the meaning of the word bluff? However, the reason behind everything soon became apparent. They were slowly increasing in number, little by little. At first, it was only businessmen on their way home stopping to take a look. Then it was housewives in the middle of shopping taking a gander. Next, what seemed like the owner of some store showed up, and it was pretty clear he wasn't just looking. Around Mion, there was already about 7 people gathered. It felt different than people coming out to support a friend. If I had to say why, it was because the group that gathered was diverse in age and gender. The 3 thugs seemed to slowly realize that there was something strange about the situation. Who the hell are these guys? Behind them, at some point, 4 more people of differing clothes and ages had gathered. A girl who looked to be in middle school, a man wearing a bakery apron, an old lady in a house cleaning smock. More and more people of various ages. Their gazes, comparable to Mion's, were of hostility, of intimidation. Before I realized it, over 10 people had formed a ring around us. At that moment, 5 elementary schoolers ran in and joined the circle. There were some familiar faces. Some of our classmates. Then these people were residents of Hinamizawa? More and more people from Hinamizawa gathered around. In obvious contrast, the residents of Okinomiya were passing by as quickly as possible. Are you guys? Go away. The group surrounding us had suddenly swelled to around 20 people. Completely encircled, the faces of the thugs began to show the first signs of panic. Nobody spoke a word, Mion included. That made everything completely unnatural, and depending on which side you were on, completely terrifying. Only the thugs' voices echoed out like they were screaming. Somebody took a step forward, closing the gap between them. As they did, everybody else took a step forward, shrinking the circle. The hoodlums went pale as they were pushed together, back to back, while still yelling angrily. They were trying to string together vulgarities, but for some reason, it sounded like they were crying out for help. All right. What's going on here? What's going on? It was sudden. A solidly built officer cut his way through the crowd. At some point, 2 police cars had arrived. Some passerby had undoubtedly called for them. Several burly officers appeared from inside the second vehicle. Oh, officer, good timing. There you go, the extortionists, caught red-handed. Please arrest them. Da foo? This brat's the one that's wrong here. That's so hard to read. Mion, returning to her usual self, was nonchalantly pointing out the hoodlums to the police. Of course, the thugs were furious. But now that it had come to this, there was nothing they could do. It was their loss. That's so weirdly phrased, that whole thing. Okay. Come over here for a sec. Come on already. The officers handcuffed the thugs and dragged them towards the patrol cars. Da foo, let me go. We're the victims here. Are you listening, damn it? No matter how much of a ruckus they caused, the officers paid no heed. In the blink of an eye, they were crammed inside the two vehicles. They could still be heard yelling while inside the police cars, but what they were saying was no longer intelligible. Hey, there he is. Are you all right? Are you injured? He was probably a detective. The man leading the police peered at my face. No, not really. Well, that's a bit of a silver lining then. Well then, have a good year. Wait, what? Have a good year? What? The portly man, after taking a quick look around, addressed the crowd. Wait, I'm so confused. Why did he say have a good year? Why not have a good day? Have a good year. Thank you, citizens, for your timely report. Thanks to your efforts, we were able to keep the peace today. It's a wonderful thing. Who says that? Thank you for your hard work. Detective Oishi. Oh! As a citizen, I thank you for your daily efforts. It's an honor for a detective from the 1st Division to come out all this way. The way Shion talked didn't have a very pleasant tone. He keeps switching between Shion and Mion. Pick one. It was a coincidence. I happened to hear the call over the radio on my way back from the prefectural office. I just made a little detour. Please keep up the good work. I pray for success in your future endeavors. Yes, this is how people talk to each other on the street. Oh, shucks. Who says that? It's a good thing there were no injuries, though. Oh, shucks. Oh, Ishii-san. We're done here. Let's go. Well then, have a good year. Why does he keep saying that? I'm sorry, could you make way? I'm so confused. This is like bizarro dimension. It's like they're speaking a language I understand, but none of it makes any sense. It's so weird. Have a good year. The detective named Oishi, after jovially making pleasantries, lumbered over to the waiting police car. That is just such a loaded word. Lumbered. It quickly set off, disappearing down the city street. It was over so quickly. So quickly, I was dumbstruck. I didn't even get to ask the officer what was going on. It was like they came here quickly to disperse the mob before any trouble could start. After making sure the police cars had left, Mion snapped her fingers sharply. Stop switching between them. Pick one. Oh, right. That's a wrap. And don't come back. That was the signal. Wait, what? The tension melted away in an instant as everyone began smiling. A middle-aged man helped me up. Are you okay, young Maebara? Next time, pick your fights a bit better. It's not like I wanted to fight. Are you hurt anywhere? If you hit your head, it would be a good idea to get an x-ray taken. An older lady I didn't know the name of was concerned about my injury. You were lucky this happened right in front of the station when it was busy, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to gather as many people. Next time, be more careful. City kids these days are pretty unruly. Grumble. I was even warned by the old lady in the smock. As Shion finished applauding the dispersing group for their efforts, she strode over to me. Seriously, pick a name. Stop switching. Well, you're pretty good, Kei-chan. You're pretty good. But I also think you should be more careful about who you pick a fight with. Thanks, Mion. Pick one. You saved my bacon there. Like I said, I'm Shion. She made a troubled expression as she turned her gaze downward, blushing in embarrassment. I heard from my sister. That fur seal keychain was yours, Kei-chan? Oh yeah, that's right. I was just heading to the restaurant. And you ended up feeling so excited that you got mixed up in something weird. Now it was my turn for my face to go red. I didn't want to admit that she was spot on. Well, I was just unlucky. But you really saved me, Shion. You don't have to thank me. So, if you see somebody else getting bullied, help them out, okay? We value that kind of thing very highly here. I was well versed in that sense of camaraderie. But the way I was rescued just now, something seemed a little off about that. While I was helped out, it was honestly to an almost disturbing degree. You're coming into the restaurant, right? You must be tired, so why don't you relax for a bit? My treat. Oh, hell yeah. Seems that she caught the glimmer of suspicion in my eyes. Without waiting for my answer, Shion began walking. Alright, fair enough. After cooling off a bit inside the restaurant, little by little, I realized I was still on edge. There were spots here and there on my body that hurt, probably because I had been so stiff with nervousness. Shion, who had changed into her uniform, brought over 2 glasses of iced coffee. Here you go, iced coffee on the house. Nice. Just bring this coupon with you to the register and it'll be no charge. My patheticness really knew no bounds. But since she went through the trouble, I might as well take her up on the offer. Never turned down a free iced coffee. Even though it had started out as such a lovely day, I had to get carried away and do that stupid thing. I had completely ruined it. But really, you really saved my hide there. I've really come to see you as reliable. Who says that? These are not things that any actual human being would say. Even I was scared. But Kei-chan was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best. This is how people speak. While a little embarrassed by what she just said, Shion made a show of folding her arms boldly. How do you fold your arms boldly? I would genuinely love to know. Shion, really, thank you. I was thanking Shion, but I really wanted to thank Mion. Mion, really, thank you. Oh my god, I just read the same thing 5 times. Now, cheer up a little. If you feel indebted, then when you have the chance, you should help somebody in need. Like for example, if I'm ever in trouble. Please come and save me. Yeah, of course. It's a promise. You absolutely have to. Taking advantage of my words, she seemed happy about my promise. So if I'm ever in trouble, Kei-chan will come and save me. I hope trouble comes soon. Stars. You finally smiled. She said as she smiled herself, poking me in the cheek. Oh my god, this is just... my brain cells are dying as I read this. A downtrodden Kei-chan is as good as an imposter. Huh? Come on, smile, smile! That tickles. Stop, wahahaha. Thanks to Shion's meddling, I finally cheered up a little. This is terrible. All the muscles in my body that had stiffened because of the incident finally began to relax a little. When you're in a better mood, don't you get a little hungry? What? I'm kind of hungry, so I want to eat some pancakes or something. You know, that does sound good. Do you want some too, Kei-chan? I wanted to show a little restraint, but restraint really wasn't my thing. That's why I replied without any. They're good, right? I'm pretty picky when it comes to pancakes. Yo, pancakes are pancakes. Just eat them, especially if they're free. Don't worry, our pancakes have a pretty good reputation. Shion ordered some pancakes from a nearby waitress. An employee ordering from another employee seems kind of weird. Wait, what? How are they supposed to order then? What? Hey, speaking of that, wasn't Shion in the middle of a shift? She's just been slacking off while talking to me. I told my uncle that you saved me when I was surrounded by hoodlums, so he's rewarding you. Stars. So, I have the manager's permission. That's exactly the opposite of what happened. Is that alright? It's perfectly fine. Ah ha 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 ha. By the time the pancakes arrived, we had entered into a relaxed conversation. As the two of us ate pancakes, we livened the mood with some chit-chat, indeed. About what was on TV, celebrities, that kind of thing. Hobbies, food. Really, nothing more than idle chit-chat. Talking together like this, I once again became conscious of Shion being a girl. This is so weird. Hey now, that's funny talk, Keiichi Maebara. Shion and Mion are the same person. If there was anything different between them, it was only whether or not Mion admitted she was Mion. But given that, how come our conversation was this different? Kei-chan, you don't think of my sister as a girl, do you? That's not true. If she were a guy, I'd punch the living daylights out of her. I think the reason you guys get along so well is because you have that kind of platonic relationship. Friend-zoned. That's a pretty rare and enviable thing to have, don't you think? I don't get what you're saying. Could not have said it better myself. But it really would be a waste to treat her like a girl. Wait, what? What? Oh, I don't even understand that. What? It would be a waste to treat her like a girl? Huh? Hey, Kei-chan, that's sexist. Ha 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 ha. I'm so confused. Hearing the word sexist was cause for introspection. What was I prejudiced against Mion and Shion for? Mion was Mion. She was the best friend a guy could have. No reservations, and head and shoulders above me when it came to club activities. If I had met her 5 years earlier, my life would have probably been a lot more fun. Of this, I had no doubt. Then what about Shion? She was Mion's little sister, and it hadn't even been 3 days since we met. Her relationship was much more distant, as the only thread we had in common was that I knew her sister. And for Shion, it was the same. I was somebody she met 3 days ago only because I was a friend of her sister's. The difference between Mion and Shion: friendliness, familiarity. Playing around with those unclear thoughts for a while, I had stopped listening to Shion. Hypothetically, okay? Are you listening? Ah, sorry, yeah, I'm listening. This is just a hypothetical question, okay? Both me and my sister are in trouble, okay? We're dangling off the side of a cliff. Which one of us do you save? Oh, that question is so loaded. You can only save one. She wasn't saying it to tease me, but had a playful tone behind her voice. Who asked that on like the third time they've met someone? That's not a nice question. I want to save you both, but I can't do that, right? Right. You can only save either Shion or Mion. Who do you save? If it were Mion, I don't think she'd be in that situation in the first place, as it's something she could easily get out of herself. Why was that whole sentence so hard to say? But what about the normal, frail Shion? I guess I'd have no choice. It's not my sister, right? If Mion and Shion were different people, I suppose it would come to that, oh, Kei-chan, oh, you silly boy. I couldn't confirm nor deny it. She should have been smiling, but her gaze was locked firmly to mine. In other words, that's it, isn't it? My sister is... Huh. Ehehehe. Sorry, I messed up what I was trying to say. Shion was trying to talk in a light-hearted manner, but I felt there was something more behind her words. Was Mion trying to tell me something through Shion? Not being able to put a finger on exactly what it was vexing. Shion, to hide her embarrassment, turned the conversation around. More importantly, just now, were you surprised? What? When everybody kept on showing up? Of course I was. If it were Rena or Satoko, that would have been one thing. But for all those people, young and old, together. They were all from Hinamizawa, right? Yeah, that's right. Everybody in Hinamizawa is pretty close-knit. An enemy of one is the enemy of all. Nobody is going to look on from the sidelines. They're a pretty reliable group of residents. Who talks like that? If somebody is being picked on, then everybody unites to get rid of the bully. It kind of sounds like the Mafia or the Yakuza's brand of unity. You shouldn't say something like that. It's something you should be thankful for. You were saved by that unity, weren't you? Never forget to show your appreciation. I half-heartedly agreed. I knew full well I should be appreciative. Everybody really is close-knit, aren't they? Maybe it's because of tradition. Hinamizawa has been in danger of becoming a ghost town on several occasions. There's been a history of the villagers uniting together each time to fight for the village's continued existence. For example, Kei-chan, did you know about the Hinamizawa Dam project? Hinamizawa Dam project? Let's see. I feel like I've heard somebody talk about it before. About 10 years ago, there was a sudden proposal to build a dam here, which would have submerged Hinamizawa underwater. Oh, that story. I think I heard my dad talk about that. But I'm pretty sure that plan was cancelled, right? We made them cancel it. Everybody banded together. So that was a well-earned victory. That sounded pretty much like the story I heard. The protest intensified to the point where it was featured in newspapers and magazines. As a result, the plan was suspended. The whole story with the dam apparently started before I was born. At first, the proposal was only for exploratory purposes, or a small dam to control erosion. But then the cat was let out of the bag. If it were completed, it would have been the biggest dam in Japan. Not just Hinamizawa, but several villages upstream would have been submerged as well. The protests immediately began. Petitions to cancel or relocate the project were drafted and submitted to the Diet. They even went so far as to go to the Ministry of Construction in Tokyo to hand over a direct appeal to the minister. The previous landowner sued the government, stating there was inconsistencies in the purchase agreement and the transaction should be nullified. Owners of yet unacquired land split their properties, increasing the number of landowners in order to stifle the project. It was all very precious when the land acquisition was still about money. Precious? It was all very precious? What? Why would you use that word there? Eventually they started relying on eminent domain in order to seize the land. It started at that point. The riot police began to get violent. Riot police? You mean the police? Why would they act violent? Her eyebrows just went, Angie. They punched. They kicked. There was a time I was hit. Right around here, I think. My skin split open and a whole lot of blood spilled out. Saying that, Shion indicated her temple by poking at it. What happened to the police? Filing a complaint against the riot police for police brutality would seem kind of strange for some reason. Naturally, they wouldn't pay heed to something like that. You wouldn't be able to establish proof on who exactly hit you, and they could justify their actions by saying you were interfering with police duties. My nana went off like a firework. After that, it was amazing. Like a full-scale war. We weren't just going to sit by and idly file complaints. We went on the offensive. First, in order to call attention to the government, they filed a temporary injunction in court. Then, in order to gain public support, they called in prominent scientists to state that Hinamizawa was a valuable nature preserve. They pressured the prefectural and municipal assemblies, saying that the prefectural governor ignored his constituents when they approved the project and demanded his resignation. They completely and thoroughly denounced him. Whew, so many big words. Naturally, in Hinamizawa, a ferocious conflict worthy of being called the Dam War began. In order to suppress the police's brutality, they coordinated with the network channels and exposed the violence of the riot squad members to the public. On top of that, they put together a special expose themed around the government repressing the citizens and aired it nationally. It worked wonders. Following that, the SWAT teams had their hands cuffed. Day after day, the petitions and demonstrations continued. Propaganda was used to help garner support. The circle of support gradually expanded outwards from Hinamizawa. Either that bore fruit, or the government finally decided against it. It was announced that the dam project was indefinitely suspended just a few years ago. We did everything we could. The entire village banded together and fought. At that time, we were desperate, but now that it's over, it's actually become a pretty good memory. The village's feelings of solidarity and unity still haven't faded. Shion said that as she focused off into the distance. I felt that those eyes weren't filled with anguish, but rather a sense of pride. That kind of solidarity is pretty nice. You don't see it too often. Bridging the generation gap and unifying the region. I think so too. The dam project was a trial. I think that just the fact we were able to overcome it is huge. The fear I was feeling until just now gradually began to fade. When people began to show up one after another while I was engaged with those thugs, I thought it was frightening. But now, I felt from the bottom of my heart that I had been rude. The villagers, prepared to defend their homeland to the death. The sense of solidarity that fostered. It might seem impudent to say this, but I was a little jealous. If I had been in Hinamizawa when the protest against the dam was going on, I might have been able to share in that sense of solidarity. Kei-chan, you weren't here at the time, so I don't think you can fully feel the solidarity in the village. Yes, that's exactly what I just said. But everybody shares it. Thoroughly. Even with somebody who just moved here like you, Kei-chan. She couldn't have been more right. So many people got together to help me out when I just moved here. Even though they were strangers whose names I didn't even know. A hot feeling began welling up inside me. Should probably see a doctor about that. When I lived in the city, I didn't even know my own neighbours. I thought that was natural. But here, that was an absurd and pathetic thing. Even though I thought of them as strangers, all the other villagers viewed me as a comrade. Happiness and warmth. I was acutely aware of those feelings as they gradually welled up inside me. Sonozaki-san, the manager wants you to work the floor. Work it. A more senior waitress waved her hand and called out to Shion. It seemed like it was time for work. Back to work, back to work. Okay, I'm coming. Sorry. Looks like I have to get to work now. It's fine. Thanks for hanging out with me. It was fun. Oh, are you going home? Yeah. My mum gets fussy if I'm not home by dinner time. Wait, he just had pancakes and now he's going home to dinner? Oh. It seemed that Shion wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words. Like we hadn't talked enough, that kind of feeling. Looking at that expression, I regretted saying something that had disappointed Mion like that. Boy, pick a name. Pick one. Stick with it. I was about to say that I could stay for a little bit longer when Shion got up from her seat. I swear to God, if he doesn't pick one name and stick with it. Here, if you use the coupon, it should cover the pancakes as well. Ooh, nice. Saying that, she showed me a coupon booklet as she tore out a few sheets and handed them to me. Convenient, isn't it? It's a perk I get on top of my salary. Ooh, nice. It's okay. I can pay for the pancakes myself. Hey, being so reserved doesn't fit you, Kei-chan. If I were my sister, you would have gladly let me pay for it. She said as she laughed, gently stopping me from opening my wallet. Being told so with such an encouraging smile really resounded with me. What? Some of these sentences are just so stupid. Sonozaki-san, sorry, could you take care of the register? Ma'am, please, we need you to work right now. Don't make me say it for a fifth time. Ah, yes, right away. Later, today was fun. Saying that, Shion smiled one more time at me. Oh, Mion, thanks a lot for today. I owe you one. If you really think that, then return the favor. I'm looking forward to it. Just how people talk. After I said it, I realized I mistakenly called her Mion. You've been doing it this whole time. I didn't know if she realized it or not. Me. Alright. right, we are back home. Well, we got a lot of lore out of this episode. And just like jam-packed that in there. I like getting the perspective. What are the words I'm looking for? I like learning more about the damn project, even though like we spent the whole first chapter on it, the Onikakushi-hen. But then they just like slam it all together in like this brief little half-hour episode here. But you still manage to get new information out of it, and like it expands the lore of the village and the people that are living in it. It's nice. This is the type of stuff that I like in this, not the waffling for the first 5 hours where absolutely nothing of importance happened. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys again next week. See ya.